Where did you stay? You said when you arrived.
Right, we stayed, I don't know, not very far away.
Not too far away, yeah. Maybe
in the same neighborhood. And we had a band, so this was all sort of arranged through this other organization, which was called
Amigos in Cristo, Friends in Christ.
Were they from Indiana?
Illinois.
Illinois. Huh.
So did you stay at people's houses?
No, it was, it was dormitory. We basically had dormitories, so it was, and, you know, every place who can, it's sort of a gated community, you know. But not a gated community. Every house is gated. You know, so we had padlocked area, and we had locks on our dormitories. And we made our own breakfast and lunch. Before going across, the Amigos in Cristo picked us up, brought us to Walmart, and we picked up food supplies and had our breakfast and lunch there. And then we joined Centro Victoria for dinner every night. So we would sit with the children in these two big long rows, one for the boys, one for the girls. The girls always got their food first. One day I asked, oh, you know, do you switch? Is it sometimes the boys get their food first and sometimes the girls? And they looked at me like, no. Why would we do that? The girls always got their food first. It was, you know, manners, I guess. And the smaller children, everybody had their own place. It was very well organized. The little children were, you know, towards the beginning of the table and had other siblings or, you know, older children with them to help. I remember sitting next to one little girl who showed me what looked like a pea in her hand, and I'm like, oh, look at that. I'm like, oh, what's that? And I touched it, and it was squishy. I was thinking, what could that be? And then, does anybody want to guess? That's a tick. A tick. And then I saw the other side with the little, it was, you know, a tick with blood. And I was like, ooh. She thought it was really
like
funny.
Scorpion.
Yeah. Like, oh. Thought it was hysterical.
Do the children study English?
They did this year. They did this year because they're in a private school. Public school in Mexico is very bad.
So you pay and it's not very good.
It's not very good. It's only a half day and they don't have English, or if they do, it's very bad. So again, with the support that he's been getting, and just because this man is an incredible man of faith, he just says, I'm going to do it, and even though I don't have the money, I'll find it. God will provide. He's just an amazing man of faith. So they are going to a private school and they are getting English. They're also learning computers, some of the older ones. So, of course, we don't learn computers, but we're trying to get the Rotary here in Manana to send beds and computers. They got the dorm, but they don't have beds. So after they get beds, they don't have sheets. So every time we make an advancement, you know, it's like, you know, the need is never ending.
Well, is the private school connected to it's a separate private school?
It's a separate place, and he puts all these kids into a van. It's, you know, almost like some of you are in my age bracket where, you know, you saw this commercial of all these clowns coming out of a car and they were never ending. Well, that's how this van is.
And he has to pay for each one, right?
He does. He's gotten scholarships. He's also a man who knows how to wheel and deal in society. He's very wheeler, and you need to be a wheeler dealer if you're doing what he's doing. He knows how to get, he doesn't burn any bridges. He knows people in the area. You do me a favor, I'll do you a favor. You know, he's just very, in a very good way. You know? So, there are also 2 children in the home, and you have 49 children in a society like that. You're going to have physical problems, and he has one little boy who was born with club feet, and my daughter is a pediatrician, and she said, you know, by the time a child is 6 months old in this country, they have that surgery, and by the time they're walking at a year, or between a year and 18 months, they never really know they ever had club feet. Well, this doesn't happen there, and this little boy was 4 years old, and he couldn't walk. He was crawling, or if he walked, he fell. So, very different, and that was one thing that All Saints did fund, was one of his surgeries. He's had 3 surgeries so far. He's can walk with. He was just walking with a walker, did I tell you?
Yeah.
And then he broke his leg.
And,
So
and,
now he's back in a cast.
and did he go to the United States for
No,
surgery? or
no,
did-
he got it in Juarez, in the
Oh.
hospitals in Juarez. And the
just looking
doctors
at him.
are very, oh, you have them there, yeah. Doctors are, have been doing as much as they can for free pro bono work. And the Mexican medical system is also another thing that isn't really working well. It's very life and death, something like that. They just are not going to. You have to have the money to pay for it. So the wealthy people of Mexico would get that surgery, no problem. I mean, they're good doctors, they're good hospitals, but it's not available to everybody. And there's another little girl who is 4, who's deaf, and it wasn't nerve deafness, and so there was at least enough nerve that they told her that she could have hearing aids. So he had, actually, as a friend of this man who supports them, a friend of his donated the $700 for her hearing aids. My husband wears 2 hearing aids, and each one of them costs $2,000. So when they said $700 for these, I was like, wow. But anyway, she is hearing words for the very first time. And again, in this country, she would be in speech therapy and da-da-da-da-da, and, she's not. But she's learning words, so I can't imagine being 4 and putting those aids in. She must have just cried when she heard noise for the first time. It must have been very frightening. Pictures.
Way to
So
go,
that was
Lily.
really
Right.
good. And she also kept them very organized so that, because when you're meeting 49 children in a week, and a lot of them I've known for the 6 years, they've been there, but a lot of them were very new. So she kept them very organized, and she took down data, what do you like to do, and things like that. So that was great, and she had this little notebook. And then I compiled that in this format because the man that is doing this support for the organization, Roger Hungerford is his name, he wanted that particular format because he also wanted to keep track because, it's hard to keep track of 49 kids.
It's really good to have
So,
all that information.
yeah. And like I said, I have to update it. He did send me pictures in email, so I need to get those developed and get.
So your group that you usually take, is it primarily people from All Saints, or is it just open to anybody that wants
It's
to
open
go?
to anybody. It's open to
And do you
anybody.
need to be fluent in Spanish?
No. No, it's open to anybody. There have been times when I've had more people that were outside of All Saints than inside of All Saints, and sometimes I've had more. So that doesn't matter to me. All I'm looking for is somebody who has the heart to do this kind of work. The need is good. Like I said, it's never ending. You don't need to be fluent. It was wonderful having Nellie because translating all day is tiring.
Yeah.
And so it was great to have Nellie if I wasn't around or doing, busy with something else. It was great to have the help. So it's certainly a plus, but it isn't necessary. It isn't necessary at all.
So it would be an opportunity for someone to learn more Spanish,
Yes.
particularly if they have some.
Yes. And I noticed for the first time this year, the children, because they are getting English in school,
They practiced.
they wanted to, they had a couple of books, English children's books, and they wanted us to read to them. And they, for the first time I see this light, this interest to learn English, which is wonderful. And they have 2 boys who are bilingual, who were born in El Paso by a woman who was in El Paso illegally and was deported. But they went through, first, second, third grade, I guess, in the States and are bilingual. And they do have U.S. citizenship, so it's good for them. Someday they can go back, And hopefully, I look at these children and I think, like these 2 boys, if they could go back and bring others, if they could go back but never forget, if they could go back just to get the help they need to, that would be my dream for them. I also look at one, Casey, who is one of Pastor Joel's children. She is very bright and very determined, almost to the point that she comes across sometimes as not friendly, but she wants to be a forensic medical person or a criminologist or something like that, and just a very determined woman. I also see her as being, maybe somebody that will carry on his good work. She's, incredible.
So is it conceivable that some of them may stay on to be?
That's what I'm hoping.
To
That's
be
what he's
healthy?
hoping.
Yeah.
That's what he's hoping, because we all worry about him.
Right.
He's not getting any
Yeah.
younger, and it's
And how are you going to care for 100 children?
Right. I
Right.
mean, if it
And he's
continues to grow.
right, and he has a wonderful way with the children. I mean, he's certainly got individual relationships with each individual, and works hard to meet their needs, emotionally as well as with food and clothing and shelter. It's really wonderful.
Does he have children of his own that are just mixed in with the pack?
Yep, four girls, which is why I think another reason why he was starting with just girls originally.
Well, they're now getting older, or are they?
Well,
only
his
one?
oldest one is married an Air Force young man, and she is legally, and they have 3 children, and she is legally in this country with her Air Force husband, and they're in New York actually right now. And then he has 3 others who are still in school, one in elementary school and 2 in high school.
And do they just live with?
Just live with in the dorms with the children, with the girls. Yeah.
Do they do any worship together?
Yeah. Every Sunday he has a service that's very, different than a Quaker meeting.
Maybe you have questions for us.
Rock music, very different from Episcopal. Rock music, and you jump and you raise your hands, and we all do it, and we all love it while we're there. It's just, it's because it's him, and it's those children, and here they are praising God, and they have nothing, and I just think, we always moan and groan and complain that we don't have this or that, and God must get sick of hearing us.
It's a little bit like the Cuban. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
He has come to the States twice. Our All Saints has paid for his airfare here, and he's come and he has stayed with me. That's where you met him for
In
the
March,
first time.
I think
In
it was
March.
awfully cold for him.
Yes. Yeah. Well, he thought he got off the airplane in a T-shirt, and I went, I should have. I just should have really. He said, but Patty, it's March. Well, March was like here. I couldn't. You couldn't see the ground. We had snow, and he was just. Yeah, so we lent him a jacket, and he was just. It was just very cold for him. And then the day we left, it was snowed. But he came and he spoke at our services, and. Again, I am happy to bring him anywhere to anybody who will listen. He is an incredible emissary for his cause. I translate for him, but his presence and his mission is just such. He really does a phenomenal job. And if we bring him up again, and anybody would like to meet him here, it would be. It's a pleasure. He's an amazing man. He really is.
Thank you.
And if any of you ever wanted to come, yeah. And I do see the nature of the work eventually evolving. Eventually he will have enough buildings, and it may come to maintenance and repair work on the buildings. It may come to reading to the children in English more. I know while we were there, he's so trying to build these dorms, and there was only one working toilet, and even that one you had to kind of pull the chain inside, those types of repairs, that go by the wayside because I'm trying to get a dorm done so that I don't have 3 boys to one twin bed. That eventually will dwindle, and I think the other kinds of things will come more into the foreground, so not everybody has to go down and shovel dirt and carry cinder blocks for a week in 105-degree weather. I think eventually it will spread its way out into, and even today, working with the children is certainly
A big part.
Huge part. They love us, and we're the only people that keep coming back. I mean, I'm sure that they've seen Americans that have come and gone, or come and give you
Are
candy
you
bar
the
and leave.
only Episcopal church connected with it?
Okay. I'm going to talk to St. James. Now I'm, the need is just so big now, and he keeps taking in more children. So, yes.
Well, where does the water come from? I mean, if it's such a dry climate, I mean, is there city water? I mean, I assume since these are settlements being built